Welcome to Tales from the Trenches Tuesdays. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to have Delphine Hasle with us. Just a little bit about Delphine. So Delphine is a skilled fundraising and donor relations professional. She's been creating opportunities for donors to support the Perley Health since 2013. She is now the executive director of Perley Health Foundation, where her passion is healthcare fundraising, focusing on seniors' care. Delphine is a certified fundraising executive and holds a certificate in fundraising management from Algonquin College. In an earlier life, she received a Master of Science in Oceanography from Florida Tech. She always wanted to save the planet. Delphine is fluently bilingual, French and English. Before working at Perley Health, Delphine was working as a communication and fundraising specialist at Care4 Health and Community Services and Director of Outreach at Ottawa Riverkeeper. So welcome, Delphine.
Thank you.
So things have been going wonderfully well, as we were just talking before I hit the record button. And it's very exciting that you're in the middle of a $10 million capital campaign and that you're the majority of the way through, though I always say it's the easy 75%. The next 25% is going to be a little bit harder. So can you tell me, you've had a whole bunch of canvases out there, so can you tell me which one of the canvases was your favorite canvas and why?
So most of it was during COVID. So we were very worried in many ways because we couldn't meet people. It's not like you could go and have the home visit and or the coffee somewhere. Everything was through Zoom and yet we were able to connect with people and we were able to bring some experts to meet with donors. And in small setting, we could still make it very interesting and very, it was one-on-one and they will have the time. And donors had time at one point. So no one was going anywhere.
Right.
So we could really have like deep, meaningful conversation. And that was really where, we knew there was a problem, we have a solution, and we could really take the time to explain how we can solve the problem or be part of the solution. So that was really exciting.
Yeah. Well, obviously you guys have done something right. You're so successful so far in your campaign. But, there's always that flip side of the coin, which is what are the visits that didn't go so well? So can you think of anyone in particular? And obviously you don't need to divulge names. I'm just looking for more of the what made it a not so good visit.
Yeah, so because we're on a campaign, we have a campaign cabinet and every volunteer is responsible in some ways. We're like, here's your prospect and then we are pushing and making sure like, did you talk to this person and what's going on? And so in one way, as a professional fundraiser, you are pushing, you are making sure that those point of contact is happening. And everyone wants to go to the next meeting and to say, yes, I've done it. So these volunteers say, oh, yes, my prospect is ready to talk to us, let's go. And it was end of pandemic, so finally we were able to meet people and
right.
I'm like, oh, great, that's wonderful. So off I go, we go to this man's office and he looks at me, he looks at the volunteers like, what she's doing here? The volunteer never explained why we were there. He never asked permission to have the conversation.
Oh my goodness.
So we surprised the prospect.
Yeah.
That was the worst feeling.
Yeah. So what did you wind up doing?
A lot of backpedaling and I'm so sorry, but since I'm here, let me explain to you. And but it was just awkward, you know, and it should never be that way. It should be about, it's conversation, it's based on relationship, and it was very weird.
If you don't mind my asking, whatever happened with that donor? Were you able to convert that prospect into a donor, or did he kind of say, hands off, you guys screwed this up?
No, we were able to because he was in some way a qualified donor. We knew that there was some interest with what we are doing. We knew there was some capacity. So we did our research before.
Right.
But instead of... I think he was very surprised because I really believe you need to ask permission before you start the conversation.
You've been a fundraiser for quite some time now with different organizations, and we all kind of have the things that we love doing and we have the things that we don't love doing. So what about fundraising energizes you? What are the things that you love about being a fundraiser?
Well, there is always a rush to close a gift, but no, that's always nice. But I think the best part is we are meeting amazing people.
Yeah.
Right? And so many different people. Actually, there is not, I could never say, oh, a fundraiser, donor is always someone who, everyone is so different and so interesting. And in many ways, we bring them joy, right? Because if you can donate and you feel like I'm making a difference, those people are super excited about what they're doing. So I feel we're super lucky that way, where we are playing the matchmaker between the cause and the donor. That's probably what I love the most about our job.
Yeah, and it's interesting you talk about that. I often find that the sweet spot is where the donor's interest, firstly, intersect with your interests. So it's driven by the donor, but where you can find that intersection where, what they care about and what you do meet, that's the sweet spot. So let's kind of look at that flip side of that. So, there's always parts of our job that we dislike, and you can't say administration because we all have to do parts of it, and that's never going to go away. But what part of fundraising is something that you put off? You don't really like doing?
There is two things. Maybe special events, not my favorite things. Just because it's flashy, everyone loves them, they seem easy, but really they suck so much of your resources. And at the end of the day, you don't have your revenue, your gross revenue is really, your net revenue is not there. So that's always, for your resources, I have a really small team. So I could say, okay, all four of us, we're creating this huge and beautiful gala. Mm-hmm. Or all of us, we go out and we meet with donor one-on-one. I guarantee you, we probably can bring more. And then it goes back to everyone is going to ask, so what's your cost ratio? And you always have to explain. And it costs money to run an organization, right? And so it should never be zero. I don't believe when people say zero, and it's impossible anyway. But on the flip side is when people say, well, but this organization has a cost ratio of this, and you are there, and why? And that's when you cannot compare. And that drives me crazy when we're trying to compare organization to organization when there is not a set formula.
So, some of the smaller shops, when you only have, 5 or less people on the team, every little position is a huge component of your overall expenses. When you have, a budget or an expense line of $3 million to run your organization, a position of $50,000 or $60,000 makes no difference one way or the other. When you're a small organization and you have, $500,000 as your operating expenses, $50,000 or $60,000 represents a huge component of your expenses. So it's a little bit interesting on that side. So I think we first met when we were with the Ottawa State Planning Council group that was coming together, and we would do these seminars on an annual basis about I hate the phrase planned giving, about legacy giving or bequest giving. And are you seeing that kind of pay off, both literally and figuratively, where we made the investment, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago in starting this up, and it takes some time to actually see those bequests come in? Has that been working for you guys?
Actually, amazing. Like I see some gift now, and that's exactly what you said, right? It takes a long time, and that's really good because to realize this gift. But yes, it does make a difference. It's a really and such a smart thing to do, and we continue to do them. Like we just had the one few weeks ago, because it's 8 small charities all getting together, and we couldn't do it by ourselves. And I think in one room, about 100 people who are thinking or who are getting some information on how can I still care for my children and my loved one and actually do better and include a charity. And that's, for some people, it's a ha-ha moment. Mm-hmm. And we often see gift to come, and I'm like, oh yeah, this person attended 8 years ago or 6 years ago. So right. It does make a big difference, and it allows us to continue to have the conversation.
Delphine, it was an absolute pleasure to chat with you. If folks wanted to get hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
They can reach me by email at dhasle@perleyhealth.ca, or
Beautiful.
go to the website perleyhealth.ca. They will find me there.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button right here.